All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're looking at a single military strike that was way more than just an explosion. It was a message sent with incredible surgical precision. And this one attack on one tiny island might just be the thing that redefines this entire conflict. To put it simply, things have just escalated. Big time. This wasn't just another skirmish in a long-running conflict. No, this was a deliberate, calculated strike aimed right at the very heart of Iran's economy. And that changes everything. So, let's get into the details. What exactly went down on this small but incredibly important piece of real estate called Kharg Island? Okay, here's the headline. U.S. forces hit military targets on Iran's #1 oil export hub. But the real story here isn't just about what they hit. It's about what they very carefully didn't hit. And this is where it gets really fascinating. Look at the precision. The strikes took out things like air defense systems, the very things designed to protect the island, and key naval infrastructure. They basically took out its eyes and its shield. But, and this is the crucial part, they deliberately left the oil facilities completely alone. This wasn't a clumsy bombing run. It was a message delivered with a scalpel. Which brings us to the absolute core of this whole thing. Why does this one island matter so much? Well, in military speak, it's what you'd call an economic center of gravity. So yeah, why all the fuss about this one little spot on the map? What makes Kharg Island such a linchpin, not just for Iran's survival, but maybe even for the stability of the entire world's energy supply? Well, the answer really comes down to this one absolutely staggering number, 90%. That's how much of Iran's crude oil, its main source of income, flows through this single tiny island. You got it. Kharg Island is, for all intents and purposes, the nation's economic lifeline. It's the main artery, the bottleneck that connects all of Iran's oil fields to the tankers that take it to the rest of the world. You choke this point, and Iran's economy slows to a crawl. So you see what happened here, right? By hitting the military stuff on the island, but leaving the oil terminals untouched, the U.S. sent a crystal clear signal. It was basically saying, hey, look, we can turn off your entire economy like a light switch whenever we feel like it. But we haven't, yet. Of course, you can't send a message that loud and not expect a reply. So let's look at how Iran responded, because their answer was just as fast and just as blunt. And there it is. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, didn't mince words. They came right out and said that any American facility anywhere in the Gulf is now considered a fair target. That is a direct, unambiguous threat. And just so we're clear, this is not an empty threat. Not at all. This number here, over 1,500, that's how many drone attacks Iran and its allies have already launched in the region since this conflict kicked off. They absolutely have the means and the will to make good on that promise. Now, it's so important to remember that this Kharg Island strike didn't just happen in a vacuum. It's one move in a much, much bigger game, a conflict that's being fought on land, at sea, in the air, what analysts are calling a multi-domain war. And this right here gives you a fantastic snapshot of what that really means. You can see it's a war in the air with ongoing strikes. It's a war at sea with huge disruptions to shipping in the critical Strait of Hormuz. It's regional with missile strikes. It's fought through proxies on the ground. And under all of that, there's a massive economic war being waged. And right here, this is what it means for the rest of us. Before this all started, oil was about $70 a barrel. The conflict shot that price up past 110. The strike on Kharg immediately made everyone worried that the price could go through the roof again. So the billion-dollar question is, with the stakes this high, where does this go from here? Well, analysts are basically seeing 3 ways this could play out. Okay, so path number 1 is, well, more escalation. That's when someone finally goes for the jugular and attacks the oil infrastructure itself. Path 2 is some kind of coalition action, maybe naval convoys trying to protect shipping lanes. And then there's path 3, de-escalation, where the world's diplomats try to put the brakes on this thing before it spins completely out of control. So when you boil it all down, here's the bottom line. This strike was an incredible piece of strategic signaling. It was a demonstration of power, proof that the U.S. could choke Iran's economy. But then it deliberately pulled that punch, stopping just short of a full-blown economic war that would hurt everyone. And that leaves us right here, on a knife's edge, with this one final question. Was this strike a brilliant, calculated warning that will actually lead to things calming down? Or Was it the final push that puts the entire region on the brink of a much bigger, much more dangerous war? We're all waiting to find out.